Welcome to the podcast. The Everydaynerd Podcast is back live and in living color. I'm Luke P. There's Joss, and of course our man Marvin, and our producer in the background, our man Mr. Jesse. But he's the silent partner in the background. And guys, guess what? We finally get to talk about a movie that was released from the MCU. And when not a TV show, yes, it was in Disney Plus, but guess what? You could have went to a theater like Jocelyn did and watched Black Widow. And of course, at this time, we're going to talk about Black Widow. And I got to do the normal. Joss knows this. I always got to drop the numbers. So according to this article that I got today, Black Widow theatrical debut was 80 million here domestically. Now, this is something that is real interesting. Disney Plus never releases its figures, but according to this, Disney Plus generated $60 million. 60 million, and then internationally was 78 million. So it beat out F9 as far as a movie coming out during pandemic. Not a surprise to anybody. I don't think we're at all surprised that it made that much money, and I think it's going to be
everyone saying that they're what do they call it? Superhero fatigue. Suck it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Marvin summed that up. So, kids, let's just jump to it. Let's talk about Black Widow. And it starts out, a lot of people had their ideas of how this movie was going to go. And, well, you just sat back and relaxed. And we're introduced to 1995 in Ohio. And you get to see a young, obviously, Natasha, and she's with a family, which is interesting. You think, oh, it's her family. It's your sister, mom, and dad. And then, lo and behold, dad comes home, says, oh, hey, we got to go. And you're wondering, oh, what's going on? And so you see that they have to take off, and, they're in a big rush to get out of town, and then they have to jump on a plane. And what's interesting is, hey, we get to see the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show up. That's kind of cool. S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up. So you kind of think, wow, that's a little major when you have S.H.I.E.L.D. there. It's not just the regular CIA, FBI guys. So they get on they basically get out of the country from Ohio and land in Cuba. And then there's where kind of our movie really begins at that point. And guys, just from that opening scene, just wanted your thoughts real quick.
It gave me vibes of, did you ever watch that TV show on FX, The Americans?
Yes.
That was Americans, where it was basically about Russian sleeper agents in America. And I will say this, the Marvel Studios de-aging technology has gotten a lot better. Rachel Weisz looked really good. And I was like, wow, she looks really good. And then until you see later, like, oh, wow, their de-aging technology is really good.
What's that?
You never know. Oh, you always thought that's how she naturally was. So don't worry. Why are you blowing it, Marvin? Why are you blowing it, Marv? Why are you blowing
we should have said this is full of spoilers. They're spoilers.
Oh yeah, there are. If you haven't watched the movie yet, then just put us on the shelf and then come back to us.
Yeah,
but there will be spoilers.
There will be spoilers in this. So Josh, you're taking an opening little scheme.
Yeah. So you know what? Okay, first of all, finally, as some people who follow us know that she is my gal. She is my hero. I mean, I'm the one who mourned for her more than I did for Tony Stark. Okay, so this is my gal, my movie, my BFF. All right, so when we saw her open up, with that colored hair, I thought, this was her real family. I thought it was a real family. This is how she grew up and stuff, but then also I was thinking about, wait a minute, I thought she's from Russia this whole time, like up until this point, like, wait, she's from Ohio? That didn't make any sense to me. So I didn't gather that from what Marv had mentioned. I thought she was, this was really a family from Ohio. And I was thinking, well, how did they end up being in Russia? So it took me a while to get that. But I gotta say, though, what really drew me is that the fact that her and her sister, I thought it was a real sisterly bond. Because they're young, and also she was super protective of her younger sister, because when they showed up in Cuba, and already at that young age, she was already a risk taker. She was courageous. She was protective. She was already learned how to shoot a gun, or at least aiming that gun. And at that time, she learned how to work a plane. So, she just matured just like that. But I thought it was a really good introduction just to see where we're going to get started with. And also just that sisterly dynamic. So I thought that part was good. And then seeing her parents, who I thought were really her parents. I mean, I really thought this was a real family in Ohio. And then everything just changed, and it was just like, whoa. So
a little trivia. If you ever wonder why young Natasha looks like Mila Jovovich, guess what? That is Mila Jovovich's real life daughter playing.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There it is. More
Mila
knowledge.
Jovovich and director Paul W.S. Anderson. He directed the Resident Evil movies. That's their daughter playing young Natasha.
Oh,
Wow,
interesting.
there
I
you
mean,
go.
well, I thought the casting was great.
Yeah.
I thought she really looked
Exactly.
like a young Scarlett.
I know you did. I know we were touching on the opening, but if I could
Mhm.
also comment on the opening credits when it really went deep on
Yeah.
human trafficking.
Mhm.
Oh,
I know. I mean, I knew based on her background, this wouldn't be the lightest movie, but I was kind of surprised how, in a way, how dark this movie got sometimes, especially with that beginning. It was kind of intense. Seeing the women in the containers.
container.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very intense. But it started off innocent because I'm thinking, okay, like I said, I thought, hey, they're in Ohio. She's riding a bike. She's somewhat of a tomboy. So I'm like, okay, but then things got crazy quick.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and totally. And then you're hearing "Smells Like Teen Spirit," right? But in a
Yeah.
different
that
version.
strange
Actually, that was
cover
that
of
was a
that
cool
song.
version, though. I
I
gotta
was
look it
like,
up.
it's funny. I was all going, wait, I've heard this song before, and then all of a sudden, it dawned on me what it was. I go, wow! And then, just like Marvin said, the context of the scene and the song, and really done well. So after that, obviously, credits, and then let's go. 21 years later from that moment, we are seeing now, in case folks don't know, and we're giving away a trade secret here, this takes place between Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War. So you're looking at that time period right there, 21 years after what we see in the opening scene. So I did the math real quick, 2016. So I think I did that right. So around 2016, in between these two movies, this is what's going on. And so you have Secretary Ross still after all the people during Civil War, and he's now after Natasha for what she did, her role in Civil War, how she helped Cap and the Winter Soldier escape, with T'Challa, pinning T'Challa in their battle over in Germany. So what's interesting is that Ross is after her, and he thinks he got her, but the key line in that scene that I want to stress is she says it kind of sets up the movie and sets up her character very well, is I've lived so many lives before this. So, and she kept telling him, you're going to embarrass yourself. You're going to embarrass yourself. Sure enough, it was kind of embarrassing that they walk in on a bathroom that she's not even at, and she's not even in that country. Turns out she's in Norway, which is, as we talked about, what'd you say it was?
It's like a place of sanctuary.
Like a sanctuary country.
Like
Amnesty neutral.
Neutral, yeah, okay. So she's out in Norway. So turns out she's out in Norway, and she's out over there, and it's like, wow, okay, she's knows how to live life on the run type of deal. Fast forward, and then now we see this younger sister of hers that we thought was her younger sister, now head of the widows now. And we see the widows now. This is what's cool about this movie, is we get to see the widows, not just one, but the group of the widows, and how they're there to assassinate somebody. Obviously, they're assassins, and she's there to assassinate somebody. And guess what? The person turns out to be a former widow, if I'm correct on that, right, guys? And she has some sort of chemical cure that all of a sudden she dispatches on her. And that's what I found a little weird. I go, well, what's that all about? I thought she was like trying to poison her, but no. It ends up like all of a sudden her sister, who's named Yelena, her head clears up, and it's like, whoa, it's like you could see like her eyes are like bigger, like she could see clearly now. And then the next thing she does, she's trying to save the person, but she ends up killing her. But what I noticed there, though, she went into her body and took something out. I said, whoa, what was that? And took it out, and immediately the tracker, and then she became, she went on the run, because obviously something happened to her where it's like her mind cleared. She had a mind clearing incident. So what'd you guys think of the widows? Just seeing the widows coming in there like that.
There's a lot to unpack with the widow program, and what it represents in our world today.
Yeah, we'll definitely dive into that. Joss, your take on seeing the widows for the first time?
It was awesome. It was awesome. Again, I'm also trying to piece together the different snippets that we've seen from Natasha's past and her memories to where she is. So from the memories that I remember is like seeing them in ballet, taking ballet, but then they're learning how to do like assassin work. So this is like something totally different from what I expected, but then it's like, okay, this is then what has happened. This is what all those women were for. They're trained. I mean, they're awesome. They are completely awesome. But it's like just that mind altering. It's almost like getting the super serum without getting that physical strength, but they're under that mind control that this is what you're trained to do. And for the fact that we got to finally get introduced to the older now, the younger but now older version of Yelena, and I just love her. She's a hoot. I just love her. I love her personality. And it was interesting just to see her skill level as it comes about. But yeah, I thought it was cool. I love it. I love it.
Obviously, fast forward a little bit more, we see Natasha in her sanctuary, and her agent friend is there. And also he mentions about oh, here's your stuff. And I got some stuff from Budapest, from the safe house in Budapest. Automatically, I know everybody's, bells start ringing about Budapest. Whenever it comes to Budapest and we see Black Widow, we start, what's Budapest all about? She opens it up and then, finds out that, okay, this is stuff, whatever, and is taking it. And then all of a sudden she encounters somebody that, looks pretty awesome. And it turns out to be somebody named the Taskmaster. Now, I know Marvin could give us a breakdown of the Taskmaster in comics and all that, but again, let's just base it on what we've seen in the movie. It looks interesting how the Taskmaster, you could tell, watches a lot of films, shall we say, on people and how they do, how they fight, their certain styles, what they do, what exactly they do, how to counter it, how to mimic it, and so it was interesting in the fight where all of a sudden Natasha is encountering the Taskmaster, and then she realizes that the Taskmaster, she thought initially it was Ross trying to get her, but no, it turns out it's the Taskmaster, and it wasn't about Natasha. She wanted to get that little case that somehow was in her stuff from the Budapest safe house, and it turns out she realizes that, this is something that Yelena sent to me, and it's like, so she realizes those vials are important. Some, battles the Taskmaster. Now, what's cool about the Taskmaster, you do see a shield being used, thrown like some guy we know how to throw, and it's interesting how you see that. And then, they're fighting. She gets out of it and obviously takes the vials with her. And the Taskmaster realizes, oh, wow, I got an empty box and not the vials. Marvin, I wanted your take on that fight. Just what do you think? Just seeing the Taskmaster going against the first time against Natasha.
Let me first say I wanted the pirate booties. The pirate booties that Taskmaster is known for wearing. But the Taskmaster is a mimic, and he is supposed to be a powerful fighting machine. I think for this part, the Taskmaster works for this particular story. Is it comics accurate? No, not exactly, but the Taskmaster is one of those characters. While he is popular, he doesn't have a strong backstory established for him. So in a way, it gives them a lot more leeway to play with his, not just his origin, but what the Taskmaster is all about. So, and those are really good fight scenes. You have a character who can fight like both Captain America and Hawkeye at the same time. It's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, I saw that. I noticed. Well, what I noticed first was like, okay, this is interesting. The enemies and well, first of all, she, Natasha, she's just living it very calm. She thinks she can have a very peaceful life, and then it's like, nope, stuff always happens. And here she is.
Trouble always follows her.
Trouble always follows her. It's like she's always got to be on her toes. But when she was on that bridge, she came out. I just knew, from that fighting style of Taskmaster. It's like, wait a minute. She fights just like she has the same pose as Natasha.
I was watching those
they had the same pose together.
The kung fu shows where they change stance in the middle of the fight. And go,
right.
They were just, and then you go Captain America, Hawkeye, Black Widow.
Exactly.
That's pretty
cool.
So,
yeah, it's like, hey, wait a minute. There's something like you're right. It mimics like the other Avengers. Yeah. So that fight scene was just way cool. And I don't know anything about Taskmaster, to be honest. So I don't know what people were talking about.
Yeah, like I said, he doesn't have a strong backstory in the comics. I don't even know what his even whatever real names has. It's an alias. So he's a lot like Wolverine in the past. He doesn't really have a backstory. I could be wrong, but he doesn't have a backstory established to him. So, like I said, it gives him the freedom to do all these type changes or adjustments, to this interpretation of the Taskmaster.
Okay. So next thing you know, we're back at Budapest now. Now, I know a lot of you folks are getting excited. We're at Budapest now. So we're thinking we're going to, now here's the thing. We've talked about this we've always talked about this, how do not follow a Marvel trailer. Because immediately people thought when they saw Budapest that, we're going to see a flashback scene of what happened between Hawkeye and Natasha at Budapest. There's all this talk of Budapest, how it was this, how it was that. Didn't get what you wanted, not so much of what you wanted, but you got summaries more than any. And what's great about it is that Natasha arrives at the safe house and she knows who's going to be there. And she wasn't shocked at all when she found Yelena, and there were the little fight that happened between the two because they weren't sure who to trust, if they could trust each other. And what's great about it is that they were equal to each other. They were equal in all facets. They were equal. And the one line that we have to mention here is, they're at that safe house and she goes, what kind of bullets does that to that wall? And Natasha just looks at Yelena and goes, no, those are arrows. So you already know who she's talking about. See, so that was I like how these movies have little throwaway lines that make you go, oh, okay. Oh, she's talking about Hawkeye, obviously. So that's probably the time when they fought and when he recruited her or whatever. But what's interesting about that scene is obviously there's a little more explanation about why she sent the vials how Yelena sent the vials to Natasha, and how all of a sudden Natasha realizes that she didn't kill Dreykov, who was the head of the Black Widow program back in the day. She didn't destroy the Red Room. She finds out the hard way. And that was the thing, how there's where our movie's set now, that the fact that she realizes she has to now complete her mission. And we get a little feed more the Budapest story again about the fact that in order, her final, transition into S.H.I.E.L.D. was that she had to basically kill Dreykov. And she thought she did with the bomb, but obviously there was collateral damage because the daughter was in there. And for her, when they set off the bomb, she figured, okay, that's it. The daughter's there, so that means the guy's there. So let's just blow it up. What I find interesting about this scene here in Budapest, the action, obviously we could go all day long about the action, but obviously Taskmaster's there again, following them, trying to catch them. Now, this one particular scene, I go, okay, you got a reality and all that, just okay. But when they steal the BMW SUV and the arrows fired right underneath it, they blow up, the SUV flips, just happens to flip perfectly into the subway entrance.
And they walk out like
lands perfectly for them to spin. And of course it has to do that spin. Does the spin, stop, and they walk out like, yeah, I'm sure they're showing it. Oh, we're a little hurt, but come on. Really? But when I saw that, I go, all right, I had to, okay. This type of thing. But again,
if you enjoy the Fast and Furious movies, you'll be fine with that.
Exactly. So I'm just like, okay, okay, you sold me. I go, all right, you sold me. Fine. I'll accept it today. It's like final. What'd you guys think of the action over at Budapest? The Budapest scenes.
Before that, I remember how you talked about the Budapest mission.
Yes.
I read somewhere and it was brought up and it was like a light bulb. Dracov's daughter was mentioned way back in the first Avengers movie. I think it was when Loki and Scarlet and Black Widow were having that interaction in the cell, and he's going over her past sins, and he says Dracov's daughter. Like, oh my goodness, that was a good call.
Nice, yeah, good catch there, Marvin. I mean, there's going to be some stuff we're going to talk about from previous movies that come to this, but good catch on that one. Good one, Joss. Your comments on that scene?
Yeah, I mean, okay. Well, first of all, let me just talk about the sister love between them. So, when like she's like, I know you're out there, and with the way they fight, like you said, it's just all over the place, and they can also anticipate each other's moves, right? Mm-hmm. And then when she had her on the kitchen sink, she's like, stay down, and they're just fighting all over the place. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. And
this reminded me of my fights with my own sisters, although a lot less choreographed.
Oh, were you on the
wow. Stay down, don't get up.
Throwing knives. Wow, I like that, Marv. Throwing knives, shooting guns at each other. I like that. That's a great relationship, Marv. I like that.
when they start to go on the run, that was a lot of fun. And we just got to say it now, with the way that they had that sister banter that, you can like talk smack about your brother or to your sister at their face, right? But then when somebody else says it, you're like, shut the hell up, right? But she said to her sister, she's like, oh yeah, you're the Avenger. And I can tell that she's somewhat envious, that her older sister is, super famous. She's an Avenger. And so now it's like her turn to kind of like bring her older sister down a notch. So she's
it's
like,
weird. It's like they almost make her feel guilty that she is an Avenger.
Right. The fact that, you got out. But I love the fact that she, she's like, they're at the store, while they're on the run. And she's like, yeah, what's up with your pose? What's up with that? Why do you always do that? And she's like, what are you talking about? She's like, why? Why do you always have to like go down and then do that pose and then lift your head up? It's like arm and pose, arm and head, arm and head. What is that? What is that? She's like, and she just straight up told her sister, you're a poser. She's like, I'm not a poser. You're a poser. And it's just hilarious to me because, you can say that stuff to your own siblings to their face that, with no hold bar. It's just, to me, that was just hysterical. And then the fact that they're actually up there in the vent, she's like, this is where we were. But I mean, the fact that these two, especially her younger sister, she's got a mouth, she's got a mouth. She, she's like, where's my keys? And she says in another language, she's like, you bitch, she's definitely got an attitude. I love the sister banter that's happening, even when she's like, what's your plan? This was my plan. Well, your plan sucks, for them to do that.
I love how that chemistry was already there with these new characters. One character we've been following for 10 years, and then we have this one that's relatively new to us. And, it felt like we already knew who these characters were.
It was fun.
Exactly.
It was fun. It's fun to get them on the run, and and the fact that they're together. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
At this point now, so Natasha knows that she needs to find a red one, and so the first person they think of is and I do that in air quotes, their father, who basically was, let's call it what it was, their handler, actually, and they know he's in jail. So they basically break him out of jail, not to get into too many details, but, one scene's kind of interesting how he's arm wrestling with everybody, or arm wrestling. And then somebody calls him out on that about how he's telling this story, how he faced Captain America. And then the guy goes, wait a minute, when did you face him again? And the guy literally had his arm broken. And I was like, oh man, that was pretty extreme. But what's great about that scene is the fact that, again, you get to see their quote unquote father, their handler, who is the Red Guardian. And you just see he is a super soldier. He's the only Russian super soldier. And they break him out. And of course, Joss, you get to see
the pose.
Natasha gets to do her pose, and then the sister's in the hell here, poser. And I just love that scene how Yelena was so tired of the bullets hitting their aircraft that she said, forget it. So she gets her bazooka and just launches it and just destroys the tower. She's just like, okay, now we're ready, so, like I said, we got to kind of speed this up. But yeah, so they break him out to ask him, hey, where's the red room? And it turns out he doesn't know where it is. And they're like, wait a minute, you were boys with Dreykov. What are you talking about? He's like, no, Dreykov threw me into jail right after that. So that's already interesting to note there. And he basically explains, no, it was she's the one that knows where everything is. So they end up going to see her. And that's real interesting how when they go to see the lady who played their mother, it's Melina, right? Am I correct on that?
Melina.
Yeah, Melina. Yeah, they go to see Melina, and sorry, Marvin, they kind of aged her the other way on this one. Sorry, Marvin. But anyways, they showed her true age. Sorry. Anyways, they go visit her, or they go find her, and then she kind of explains everything, the plan, what their mission was in Ohio, to steal this technology that it was labeled SHIELD, but really it was Hydra that was doing it. And it was just this whole mind controlling program that Hydra was working on. Technically at the time was SHIELD.
No, poor pig.
Yeah, I know. And then kind of wrong with the pig, but you had 11 seconds. Like, wow, okay. But at that point, though, you get to see what, a lot of things start unraveling. And like you mentioned, how we talked about earlier with the family aspect about everything, there's a key line that the Red Guardian says to Natasha. He goes, you left for the Avengers. And she goes, yeah, they're my family. He goes, oh, really? And let's all remember at that time, the Avengers were technically disassembled. Mm-hmm. So that was a key when he goes, really? Where's your family now? And it's like, they're all on the run.
They're in the, half of them are on the raft.
In jail. The other half are, see, so that was an interesting point. He kind of pointed out to her, like, okay, if they're your family, where are they at now? Type of thing. And he, obviously he understands that, like Marvin mentioned with the show, The Americans back on FX, that's how it was. That history has shown that there were Russian spies, and we obviously don't know every one of the programs, but it wouldn't be shocking if we knew that there were Russian families, in air quotes, that were actually Russian secret agents. So I like how they adapted that to the story, and how, Yelena felt that, no, you guys were really my real family. And
she was only 6 years old.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have to remember, like, for when they had that scene in the beginning when Natasha had that gun, and then the dad, the Red Guardian, he's like, okay, she's a lot younger than you. Mm-hmm. She doesn't know, and so for her, she was still very innocent. If we really think about it, at the age of 6, you're very innocent. And so that's why during that discussion, she said, you know what, this family was real to me, even though it was just a mirage. And then, for us to like really get into that, it was good. It was also sad. It was super sad to know that, this was just fake. And so there was nothing really tangible and real for the two sisters growing up. I mean, they're not even biological sisters.
Yeah, that's true.
This was a life that they were thrust in. They didn't have they didn't have a choice. They don't even know who their real parents are. And then this is really one of the main cruxes of this story is, choice and how it's denied to us. But Elena, I guess in her way, she was just in a way, she was making the most of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was one scene where, I don't know if we gone that far, where Black Widow is going through the family photo album, and she says, I remember this. At first you're thinking, okay, she remembers that Christmas. No, she's saying, I remember how we made this photo shoot, how each different picture was a different holiday, but it was all in the same photo shoot. Mm-hmm. And she said, and I knew those gifts were empty, but when I opened them, I pretended they were real because this was the only way it felt normal to me.
Exactly.
And that was so sad. To me, I thought it was just so sad.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt sorry for Natasha this whole story. I was like,
Well,
man,
Yeah, you think that, you know, she was just in the Red Room in her formative years. You know, even in the beginning, I was like, wait, this is their biological family, and then you find out later on, this isn't her real family. She
yeah,
was in the
exactly.
program since she
was
was
an
born.
infant. She was born.
Mhm.
Yeah, she was
Born into
put
it.
in like
She was selected because of her enzyme. Was it her enzyme or it was her I thought it was her enzyme or her gene that they
Yeah, it was
biologically
based.
saw
Yeah.
that and
Mhm.
saw it as an advantage, and they took her from her biological mother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's we'll get back into the details of like the symbolisms and everything of the movie, but yeah, let's try to sum this up real quick. They end up going up to the Red Room. They had, yeah, and you kind of wonder, wow, this seems a little too easy how they got captured and everything like that.
I love
Turns
how
out-
comic booky it is where their base is up in the sky and they go,
Exactly.
and you wonder why we're never, what do they say? We're always above the radar. And you realize,
Yeah.
because they literally are above the radar.
Yeah, they literally are above the radar. You know, Marvin, just on the side note, I was looking for asteroid M. Anyways, that's for a different time. Anyway, so let's get back to the Red Room. So you realize, like, okay, wow, that seemed a little too easy, but oh, they're captured and here they are. And then all of a sudden it turns out that, you know, again, you know, throwback to Mission Impossible with the mask thing, but, you know, turns out Natasha
Or even Winter Soldier.
yeah,
I remember.
exactly.
Oh yeah, they
Winter
used those
Soldier.
masks in Winter
Yeah, it was
Soldier.
Winter
Exactly.
Soldier.
So yeah, they did the mask thing, and she pretended to be Melina, but then she wanted to get her answers from Dracoff, and she did. She got her answers, and she was able to get close enough. They had the plan where you get close enough, you could do, you know, you'll be able to accomplish these certain things. So able to do it, you know, able to, you know, like I said, I'm summing it up real quick, able to get the information she needed, able to break into the computer, get all the data they needed, you know, and, you know, obviously finding out that the Taskmaster was actually the daughter of Dracoff, and how, you know, all those years she was holding that back, holding that guilt of killing her, that now here she is. And even Dracoff played on that, just like, hey, do you want to apologize to her now? Is this what you want to say to her? And it's like, that's kind of tough. You're carrying that guilt, and here's that person that you thought you killed, but, you know, lo and behold, she's this assassin now. So, you know, you're going to have to deal with it. So, but what's great about it is obviously they get a hold of the serum that basically takes control of everybody from, you know, the mind control is taken away. And so all the widows have their own mind now. So they, you know, again, I'm going through this real quick right now, but yeah, just their minds are now clear where they can make their own decisions. We talked about it earlier, how these girls were taken in without a choice. And by that happening, now they, you know, the question is, what do we do now? And she just, you know, Natasha tells them, you could, you know, now you could do what you want. You can make your own decisions. So they bring down the Red Room. And obviously by bringing down the Red Room, she gets a hold of Ross. So, you know, hey, I got this guy or whatever here, come on in, take these guys out, whatever. And of course, there's the big battle at the end where Taskmaster and Natasha go at it, but she's able to get the serum for her. And it turns out the Taskmaster was under control too by her dad, as sad as that sounds. So, and yeah, like I said, we're breezing through it real quick. And then, you know, the widows end up taking off, and the Natasha downloads a file of all the widows in the world that are active right now. So she gives it to Yelena, her sister, and just says, hey, try to, you know, get the serum to these people. You know, there's so many out there. So obviously we could talk about how that could lead to other projects. Now, movie ends, or we get to the ending here, and we see 2 weeks later, you know, Natasha's riding her motorcycle, and now she has the blonde hair. Looks kind of familiar to a look that she may have, oh, I don't know, in Infinity War. So she has the blonde hair and is wearing a vest. Now, I know the vest is such a big storyline, but yes, if you see Infinity War, that's the same vest you see Natasha in, that was given to her by Yelena in Infinity War. So, and let me ask you guys this. So her friend, who is also an agent, got her, I believe, a Quinjet or a jet. Is, I could be wrong, but I think that's the same jet that is used in Infinity War.
Yes, it is. It's the same one.
Yep.
So there we go. So it leads into Infinity War, and, you know, great movie. And of course, you all stuck around through the credits. That's the one thing our silent producer cannot stand. But see, if you're at home and you left, well, that's your problem. Okay. You have no excuse if you're at home. But at the end, we obviously have the post-credit scene where it's kind of touching, in my opinion, where we actually see the tombstone of Natasha and how Yelena comes to pay her respects to her, and you hear the whistle. And all of a sudden, and you were kind of expecting it, you see Valentina. Now, in case you folks forgot who she is, if you remember Falcon and the Winter Soldier, she was the one that recruited John Walker to be the U.S. soldier. And so she's part of some sort of organization looking Nick Fury-like, recruiting people. So she shows Yelena a picture. And then, that's a funny thing. Yelena says, hey, I'm on vacation. You're not supposed to talk to me while I'm on vacation, meaning she's worked with her already, or she's already in it. And actually, that was a very poignant moment because, up into the scene, we've already been, we're like, okay, we know what's going to happen. We know what the outcome is. We know what what her ultimate sacrifice was. It was really sad. But it was also, we had to know, we were in the know when we saw her in the blonde wig. I know that's a wig, but for her to get to that point, and then to actually show that, okay, it's in present day. And when you said, Yelena was there in her truck, you could see that she's already living her life, sort of. But and it is based on her terms. I mean, she's doing the job based on her skill sets. So, she's already doing that. But I thought it was hilarious to even have Valentina there, because I was wondering, because I knew at the end someone, there's got to be something to the end credit. There's always something that's going to lead us to, another storyline. But I was actually surprised to see Valentina there. It's like, okay, where's this going? And that she's on her payroll. So it just brings up a lot of questions, like how long is she being in payroll? How did she get recruited? And it's like, okay, and then what's going to be, the whole thing with it? But
we do know that there's a Hawkeye show coming.
We do know that. We do know that.
Yelena is going to be in it. So if we want to know what this leads to, hopefully it's the end of this year that the Hawkeye show starts, because I know
it's going to be awesome. And it brings up a lot of questions, but also with her, with Natasha's gravesite. I mean, I saw an article that said, there was a funeral for Tony. There was a big thing about Captain America. And here's Natasha is just very, it's
kind of quiet.
It's very quiet. So now what? We found out that, Val, she's got an agenda. And how many of you were actually surprised to see that the next target was going to be Clint? It's like dum right?
Yeah.
So that's where we kind of like left off Black Widow. So it's interesting now, as far as like, my question is Yelena now the new Black Widow? Is she going to be an Avenger eventually? Or is she part of this whole team that Val is now creating?
So I don't know if you guys watch professional wrestling, but there's a term that they use called putting someone over. Putting someone over is basically making someone popular. And one way they do this is they have the veteran face off against the new face, and they purposely make the new face not only look good, but basically become, the next big star. So this is basically Natasha or Scarlett Johansson putting Yelena over, because it's clear that there's going to be a future for Yelena in the MCU. I mean, she's going to be in Hawkeye, and based on her interaction with Valentina, we'll be seeing a lot more of her in the future.
Well, I think what I'm thinking about is that, okay, we see her in Hawkeye, right? Where she's eventually, well, first of all, she's going to be like an enemy going after him. He's going to realize, okay, wait, you're her sister. Wait, she's my BFF. I was the one. It's like, and for Clint, I can already see it's like, no, I'm the one who was supposed to die, not her.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I think, and then Elena's going to be like, oh, I now need to be on this side of the line.
Well,
I know. We'll see when the Hawkeye show comes out.
See the Hawkeye show comes out. Now, here's the thing, too. What would be the motivation to get her to be an Avenger or to be on the side of Hawkeye and that group, as opposed to staying with Valentina and whatever group she is? Now, we're thinking it could be a couple of different names. of this group that she's with. But what would be the motivation? Obviously, for Natasha, her motivation, she wanted to move on. You know, she had her own, to a degree, her own free will to, you know what, I want to get out of this. What will make
I think it's beginning to show that
person.
Yeah, because I think, you know, throughout her life, her life was being manipulated by Dreykov, and based on what we're seeing right now with Valentina, it's she might realize she found herself in the same position again, being manipulated by someone. Because we know the real truth. We know Hawkeye didn't kill Black Widow.
Yeah.
So maybe Yelena will realize, wait, I'm falling for the same trap again. I'm letting someone else control my actions. This time it's Valentina, and then that will probably convince her to leave Valentina. But like I said, we have to wait till the show comes out. But that's
You know, guys, I kind of want to touch on some of the. Now we can touch on a little of the details of the movie here, and Marvin and Josh, you guys kind of touch on a little bit, but one of the lines Dreykov was saying when he was talking to Natasha was about this whole, I have global control.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, and you saw the images of like fires, you know, disasters that happen, how he says he has widows all over the world controlling, you know, I control that. What I find interesting to me is, in my opinion, I think it's like a symbolic of the media, how the media controls the narrative of what you see, what you believe in. Now, again, not to turn this too political, but the previous
political. This movie basically did get political with a lot of its themes I was talking about, especially, I mean, if you want to look at Dreykov, I really think he is misogyny personified. If you look at how he controls women, you know, that's definitely a comment on what's going on right now, where, you know, we're seeing these battles going on about women's choices and how it's the men making those decisions, when it's kind of like those aren't their bodies, those are the women's bodies. That should be their choice to make.
Exactly. And how they were sterilized, how these women would be just the choices were taken away from the women, and just the fact that he's talking about how he controls it all. And the way he summed up the widows, his recruits, he made it seem like they were like trash that were just dumped out, you know,
that's exactly how he sees them.
Yeah, he totally sees that. And you know what the sad thing is, you know, and I don't know about you guys, I picked up on it. It's like, wait a minute, you look at those widows, they're not too many. They were a handful, but there weren't too many Caucasian faces. You know, I noticed when they did the whole garbage, you know, rejects. It's like, are you trying to say something here? But maybe I'm overanalyzing that part. But I thought it was interesting how he mentioned that, how I control the world and you don't know it. And then it got me thinking that, wow, in a way, the media does kind of control how certain people think, how they believe on certain things when, oh, well, according to the news, whatever news I'm watching, this is how it is. So I really think that was kind of, you know, definitely a message that was brought across there when he talked about global control. And that's interesting how he used the word global control, how the whole world evolves around media. I mean, look, we're on a media format also, but it's just like wherever you get your source, unfortunately, that's what you're going to believe in, and that's what you're going to think really happens. Good.
That's all you're given.
Yeah. Anybody else want to add in anything? Or?
So I mean, that part I thought was also good, but you know, also what we learned, like another theme when we're talking about family, you know, for Natasha, like I said, I felt sorry for her in this movie. I felt sorry for her life as a whole, you know, and then to also come to realize that she even felt that, you know, the Avengers are truly her family, because there was more, it was more genuine, it was more real, you know, even though that they're trying to save the world, you know, they're like, you know, as far as being mindful and caring about another person's welfare, you know, like say, for example, it was Age of Ultron, where, you know, it was Natasha and Steve Rogers, and they're driving through Sokovia, and she's like, well, what about that nurse? You know, you think about dating her, and what do you think about this? Where it's just, you know, it was just daily life, and she was interested, she was interested in them. They were interested in her. And then when they found out that she didn't make it back, that was a big, huge hole for the Avengers, right?
The whole team.
It was like just a huge hole. So to get this movie, and here's the question: is that should this movie should it have come out during that sequence of time? Or is now the best time to have shown the Black Widow movie? For me, I'm kind of like torn between, because I guess if we did see it, in the sequence in between Civil War and Infinity, I'd be like, okay, this is awesome. And then to know at this very end that, oh man, she died, and then that's that. I think I would have still felt that void, like, oh, it's just so unresolved because there's so much more that she could have done. But the fact that I think that they did show it now, and we get that closure to know that, she's resting in peace. Her sister is there. And for her, Yelena, she really felt that it was a sisterhood, even though they're not biologically sisters, they are sisters. So for her to actually, to mourn and to know that, okay, she's taking up the mantle. And I think she's going to, there's going to be an influence that Natasha had on her. To move forward, and who knows, maybe she may or may not be an Avenger. Maybe she doesn't want to follow her sister's path and be an Avenger. She may be like an anti-hero. But I just felt sorry, in a sense, sorry for her, but then it's like, that's what I thought.
I think as the movie presented to us, I think it would have worked better as it was released now, because I think one of the main reasons this movie was made the way it was is to build up Yelena as the next step. And since we're beginning phase 4, she's clearly, looks like as I said earlier, looks like she's going to have a big part to play, Yelena. So in that aspect, would it work in between Civil War and Infinity War? Like you, John, I'm a little torn by that too. So I think.
Go ahead, Mark.
No. Go ahead. I'm done.
I think it probably would have worked, but it's kind of like, think of it this way. You watch the Star Wars movies from episode 4 to 6 first, right? Then you see 1, 2, and 3. See, so in a way, creatively, I think it works. But like Marvin said, though, if, for instance, they did do it where you're saying they should do it between Civil War and Infinity War, when this happened, it would have worked, but yet you would have kind of lost that push that Yelena is getting now. See, because look, you would have ended up in Infinity War and then Endgame, and you'll be like, oh yeah, Yelena, that one character, Yelena, it's kind of like her push wouldn't be as strong as it is now. Yeah. Because I think Marvin does have a point. A lot of the new characters we're seeing now, they're getting their pushes now. I mean, obviously, like, all right, for instance, I know he was part of the earlier phases, but like Falcon and Winter Soldier, they're getting their pushes, but it's not, like before they were like, okay, that's Steve's buddy, that's Steve's crew. Now they're kind of like coming out of the shadow of that to step up on their own. And I don't know about you guys, but I kind of noticed this too, rewatching the last 2 Avengers movies. I kind of feel that Wanda, now I got to realize this, I'm thinking about it now, she's still kind of young. You know what I'm saying? How, she was what? According, now, of course, we're going on MCU universe logic here, or timeline. She was, part of the experiment done, and she was taken in then, and there's no link to Magneto, obviously, in the MCU yet, but it's like she's still, to me, kind of young acting. I don't know, maybe because I just resaw Infinity War and just noticed how she seems a bit young acting. Endgame, a little young acting, and then we get to WandaVision. All of a sudden, she's like, okay, a little more mature. I don't know. That's just me. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm rewatching these movies again.
Yeah, but there's a level of maturity now.
Yeah, I don't know.
With these characters.
Yeah, I think it's not just age, but with the experience that she has as a hero.
Exactly. And I think all the experiences for when you bring up a good point with these characters who've been somewhat, like the B characters, right?
Yeah.
Now that they're coming forward, there is a sense of maturity that we're seeing in development because they've been supporting the main Avengers this whole time, right? The main Avengers, the six, they've been in first and foremost, they've been on the front lines, and now that some are gone, some have retired, some are who knows, but now. Yeah, exactly. So we've got these characters who, in a sense, they are carrying the mantle. Yeah. But they're also realizing now, where do I fit in all this? And also rediscovering, like, hey, this is what I've learned from my experiences. I mean, they went through some major, world-shattering battles, and it has profoundly affected them. So in a sense, they have greatly matured. Like, they just became, so much more mature, like 10 times quicker because they had to. And so now we're seeing these characters who, we didn't know much about, and now they're truly essence. They're important now to the storyline for Phase 4.
Now, I kind of have a feeling now that you mentioned, it seems like Phase 4 is building up the next fetch. So I guess when Phase 5 happens, like, okay, here comes our big thing. I hope you guys are ready.
Right. I mean, like with Spider-Man, right? With Peter, with the Coming Home one, right? Or no, Far From Home. He was in mourning, and it's also come to the fact that each of these characters that we've seen so far that Marvel has introduced, we've seen them in mourning after Endgame.
But I think also the fact that if you really look at all the heroes, I mean, you could just do the Avengers roster. Everybody seems to be broken, meaning there's something, not everything's picture perfect. Look, Cap, frozen in ice for 80 plus years, comes out. He has to deal with life like that. We just saw Natasha, her life. Tony Stark dealing with what he's done. All these heroes the only word I can think of is kind of like broken. There's something about them that, even when they team up, all their great abilities come together, but just, there's just some element about them that's, needs repair or needs work on. And let's get real too, Josh. The reason why this movie came out now as opposed to in between Civil War and Infinity War, money. That's money. Come on now.
Yeah, and also she didn't have her movie. It was owed to her, okay? It was owed to Scarlett, to Black Widow, to the widowers. I mean, she's huge.
Kevin Feige realized, I can make some money off you, huh? All right.
Well, yeah.
All I know is I'm just happy that we have it now. So.
And there was doubt. There was doubt. Could she have carried a movie? Hello? What was this? It was awesome. I don't even understand those commenters or people saying this movie's like, no, this movie was fantastic.
Yeah.
Those are coming from people who haven't seen the movie. They're just angry at the fact of a movie with a female lead.
Exactly. Now, here's the thing I will say. And it's great they had a female director. The whole Wonder Woman push, I think, was.
It was way better than Wonder Woman. Sorry.
Well, no.
It was way better than Wonder Woman 84.
Well, 80. No, come on. Anyways, what I'm talking about is just the push for now strong female characters and having female directors too. I mean, I saw an article how men were doing the Black Widow costumes. Come on. Have a woman design that thing. The woman knows what's best for her, right? And that's why I'm liking how not only Disney but even DC and heck media in general are starting to understand that, hey, maybe we don't know everything. Maybe it isn't the white Caucasian.
They're finally tapping into voices they haven't really listened.
Exactly. I mean, for us, we're seeing a big Asian push now. Obviously, with Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings coming out soon. Actual Asian people, not some Caucasian man.
Kung Fu CW.
Yeah.
Pretty soon we may see some Filipino superheroes. I'm hoping.
I know. I'm gonna love that. But something I do need to point out though on this movie. Just I loved it and everything, but my little quib is the whole Budapest thing. I mean, I wanted a little more. I wanted to see this great battle that happened.
I wanted to know, when the whole Budapest, I was waiting for one of the Avengers to do a cameo.
Yeah,
I was thinking maybe Clint was going to show up in this movie.
There was a rumor that Downey was wrangled for one quick cameo, but I was kind of happy that he wasn't. To be honest,
I'm with you on that. And
I don't think this movie would have benefited from a cameo from the Avengers. This is Black Widow's time.
I mean, it was solely her movie, and it referenced a lot to the Avengers. But I was waiting. I was waiting to see.
But I'm happy.
Cameo.
Me personally, I'm happy we didn't get a cameo. Let her have her time to shine.
I agree. I mean, like I said, I was just hoping to answer what is this big deal that happened in Budapest, and we only got the tease of the bombing. All right, okay, but
that was to have. She said the reason why that happened, it was like one of her final things to be accepted by Shield.
Yeah. See, so it's interesting how that all worked out, but also you guys. Here's the thing. Now, I'm also a James Bond fan, and there's a lot of links to James Bond. Now, I don't know if it was done purposely. I doubt it was done purposely. But few things I'll mention. Rachel Weisz, who played Melina, is married to Daniel Craig, who is the current James Bond. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's the current. I don't know if you guys picked it up, but when Natasha was in Norway watching TV, she was watching a James Bond movie. It was Moonraker.
Yeah.
She was watching Moonraker.
I don't even remember the TV.
Exactly. See, it's when the TV went out. See, she was watching a James Bond movie.
Oh.
The person that plays the Taskmaster was in Quantum of Solace.
Yeah.
She was the girl in Quantum of Solace. Olga
Kurylenko.
Thank you. See, Marvin's my I'll pronounce the last names correctly. And here's the interesting thing too. I don't know if you guys, I doubt it. I highly doubt. A lot of people probably didn't. They only did probably in the 60s, but there was at one time a guy named George Lazenby who was James Bond.
For one movie, right?
For one movie. The movie was called On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And if you look at the plot of that movie, it's kind of the same as this one, where Blofeld, the villain, was going to have all these women mind controlled, going out to all these countries and, controlling them to get, inside to get control of the power of those countries. So, I mean, I picked up on that real quick when I noticed that he goes, yeah, look at I have control of all these women. I go, wait a minute, that's kind of like what was on Her Majesty's Secret Service. So like I said, I don't think they purposely did it. And again, Rachel Weisz just happens to be married to Daniel Craig. And
I'm pretty sure someone on the creative side is totally aware of it.
Yeah. But they showed Moonraker. She's watching Moonraker. I said, oh, really? Okay. So
they're aware of it. I think they knew.
Yeah, all the James Bond folks. And I don't know, maybe it was a little nudge to Rachel Weisz that, oh, yeah, your hubby's movie's coming out. But guess what? We're going to do this. Yeah, we're friends and all that. So I don't know. I just found it kind of cool that I go, hey, that's a little, little things to James Bond and stuff. But yeah, those are my only complaint again was the fact that I didn't get enough of Budapest. I didn't get
enough of Red Guardian.
Yes, I was about to say, oh my God, David Harbour because
it doesn't make sense to me how he could be a Russian super soldier but get beat during his fight. It's like, what is
he's out of shape, he's out of practice. Not just out of shape, he's out of practice. So
it's like I in a sense for a moment, like I'm just thinking about it, I would have liked to see gosh, what was our African American super soldier, the Captain America who we had?
Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah, and Rachel, I'd like to see those two.
Even fight.
I haven't seen Stranger Things yet, but the only other thing I was familiar with David Harbour was that Hellboy movie that did not do well, and I really liked him in Hellboy.
I know. I'm not familiar with him. I mean, I think I've seen him in a movie, but I'm not familiar with him.
I wanted more Red Guardian. I
didn't think we had enough. And also where he's like, that stupid thing where he's like, what? I guess you're on your period. But Elena's like, no, I don't get periods anymore, dipshit.
They do, and I like how they just gave him a biology lesson too.
Right.
He's like,
You know,
okay,
they
stop. He's like, you asked
pull
me.
my ureter, and he's like, whoa.
Because
You
I
don't
haven't
have
even
get
gotten to that part yet.
technical and stuff. And she's like, I didn't even get to fallopian tubes yet.
I know.
I
that was
wouldn't be
great.
surprised in the future if we get at least a Disney Plus show of those
Mhm.
characters again with Melina and Red Guardian, because
Yeah,
there
there
is
wasn't enough Red Guardian.
I'll agree. You know, and what's interesting is they did a lot of little plugs to character, little Easter egg characters. Like one, Yelena called them Crimson Dynamo.
Yeah.
When I heard that, I went, "Wait a minute!" And then
Why was
It's
it
not Crimson Dynamo, and then even goes, it's not Crimson Dynamo. It's Red
Yeah,
Guardian.
I'm Red Guardian. You know, and I just said, "Come on, man! Somebody just say Omega Red, please! Somebody just say
Oh,
Omega Red
man.
for me. He's my favorite Russian mutant." I go, "Come on, just say Omega Red, somebody!" You know, but. They
But
mentioned
it's
Black
like
Bear.
he's like a
Yeah.
has-been. It's like he's a has-been who wants his glory days. And to the fact that he said, "Wait, Yelena," no, he said to I have something I want to ask you. Pulled her back in that conversation and said, "So you know, did Captain America ever talk about me?"
He's like, no. He's like, first of all, why are you talking about yourself? Really? So that was good. That was really good. And just, like I said, I think overall this movie, if I had to give it a number between 1 and 10, I'm at 9. And the reason why I didn't get the full 10 again, I just wanted more Budapest, more explanation of what this big event was between her and Clint, that, comparing to a invasion force coming into Manhattan Island, how she's like Budapest, and he goes, "Oh, you must have," that's what I'm saying. So I'm picturing something pretty big. Now, if the bombing and hiding out was supposed to be it, well, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to take that then. But I thought there'd be a little more, we could kind of see more what happened between
Maybe
Clint
in the future, but I
and,
think we just got what we needed to know, which was, Natasha's last major regret before switching over to this side, and that was really what was more important than actually learning exactly what the details of Budapest.
Yeah,
Well,
you're right there, Mark.
One thing though, I just think about it. I just kept coming back to like, okay, this whole life story, and like, she's got to this point. She's now at peace, with like finishing off this whole widow system, and she goes into Infinity War Endgame, and then it came to the point where it's just between her and Clint, who's going to sacrifice themselves for the Soul Stone, and it comes back really to me, just really thinking about like, where was she at to say, this is, in a sense, it's like even with Yelena always says, throughout the movie, this is a cool way to die.
Yeah,
This is a
exactly.
cool way to die. And then when she was like on the table and they were like putting, trying to get to, she's like, this is not a cool way to die.
Yeah, this is not
right.
a cool way to die.
But here's Natasha, and it made me like, was that a cool way to die? That was a cool way to die.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Mhm.
it just brings me back to that point where she's like, you know what? She's so Clint, you got a family, you have to stay behind. In a sense, I think she felt like I've done it all. I've given it. This
Now
is
I'm
where my
wondering, in
life
the way, if
should
the
end.
rest of that world know how she died. Did she know that she sacrificed herself in an alien planet, or are they just saying she died in battle?
I don't think they ever said anything. I don't know.
That's the thing. Yeah, it wasn't.
No, because they didn't. Because why else would they bring Clint? Because that was like, this is the guy who's responsible for her death.
Yeah. See, so it wasn't mentioned how she died.
Now I'm thinking, does Valentina really know how she died?
No, I don't think so.
I think she. Well, no, you have a point there, though, Marv. You might have a point but she's just influencing Yelena to think one thing, to use Yelena for what she needs her to do with Clint. And
now I am thinking is like, okay, now it looks like she's coming after the Avengers. Why?
Yeah, so I mean,
I think it goes back to her and Nick Fury way back when.
I think you might be onto something. That could be a theory. There you go.
I'm telling you, they were dating in high school. They were dating in high school, and there was a falling out.
She got mad at Nick. Well, summing it up. So I gave it 9 out of 10. How about you guys?
I'm gonna give it honestly an 8.5.
Mm-hmm.
Only because like I said, there's some parts that I wanted more of,
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's more that I would have wanted, but I loved it.
I'm about the same, but I think also part of it is it just like I watched this in the theater, and it felt good to be back in the movie theaters again. I'm hoping it lasts and it continues. Not to talk about the state of the world that's going on right now, but I'm hoping this isn't a one and done thing where, okay, you got your black one in the theaters. We got to go back inside.
We'll see. Hopefully, I hope you're right on that, Mark. I really hope you're right on that, because reading offhand, Disney doesn't have plans to put Shang-Chi in.
I don't know if I told you this, but for 17 years of my life, I worked for a movie theater chain, and during that period of time, I did not like watching movies in the theater. My enjoyment of watching movies was totally gone. And then it wasn't until the MCU movies came out that my enjoyment of watching movies in the theater came back. So not only as somebody who grew up with these characters, but also somebody who loved going to the theater, and I lost that feeling, and now it came back. These MCU movies, for all the haters talking about like I don't like these superheroes, just being stuck up at the thing that's popular. These movies hold a special place in my heart for a number of reasons, and that's why I tend to be a little more protective of these movies, no matter how bad they can be sometimes.
You're the guardian. You're the guardian of Marvel.
Yeah. That's why he boldly says Fantastic Four was not a Marvel movie, right?
Well, which one?
The latest one.
The latest one was horrible.
Oh my goodness!
I didn't even watch it.
Defend it, Marv. Defend it.
Yeah, for another day.
I'll say this about that movie. That movie was actually going somewhere and actually had potential, but it lost me the moment they got their powers. The period of time when you were knowing them as a family, because that's what the Fantastic Four is. They're a family. Okay. So they were building up that family dynamic in the first quarter of the movie. And that was really interesting to me. But for a superhero movie to stop being good when they lose their powers, that's already tells you, okay, it's a bad movie. It's a bad superhero movie.
All right. So that's our public service announcement for today. When a superhero movie, loses its value at the point where they get their powers, turn around, run,
walk out,
watch something else. Turn on another Marvel movie.
Exactly. So,
all right.
With that being said, so our next podcast, we are obviously going to be, because we have one more week.
We're going to do Loki
before we talk about Loki.
I cannot wait. I have a few things to say about that show.
Our man right there has a lot to say about Loki. I have my own opinions, but we'll get to that one at another.
Probably in another 2-3 weeks, right?
Yes, sounds good. Okay, with that being said, this has been Lou P. That's Joss, and there's Marvin. I want to say thanks for taking a watch or listening to us. Please hit the comment button over there and let us know what you think. If you thought I was full of crap and just think I don't know what I'm talking about, let me know why. And you want more Joss? Let her know why. Okay. And of course, Marvin being the studious one out of all of us here when it comes to Marvel comic knowledge. If you want to question him, let him know.
Ask him a question.
Ask him a question. He's the ask the question.
Ask the question to Marv. We're gonna have
Why do you hate the blip?
We'll have a segment. Ask Marv.
Hey, Marv, like I said, rest in peace, our man DJ GOC. He hates, and I'm gonna say hates. I'm gonna still say plural. I'm gonna still say present form. Hates Captain Marvel, and she's supposed to be the Superman of Marvel. So I keep needling him with that. Oh, she's the Superman of Marvel. So just know that, okay?
Wow.
So again, before we sign out, we always got to say it right now. Rest in peace to our man DJ.
All right.
Love you. All right. And with that being said, I'm Lou P. That's Marvin. And that's Joss. Thanks for taking a listen and watching us. And we'll see you next time. See you guys.
Bye.